The kiss wasn't supposed to happen. Not in the middle of their heated argument about quarterly projections, not with his 5-year-old daughter waiting in the company daycare downstairs, and certainly not with Victoria Chen, his impossibly demanding boss who'd made the last 6 months of his life absolute hell. But as her lips pressed against his, time seemed to stop, and in that moment, everything James thought he knew about her, about them, shattered like glass. If you're enjoying this story of unexpected love and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us how life can change in a single moment. James Sullivan stared at the ceiling of his modest apartment, the first rays of dawn creeping through blinds he'd forgotten to close. His alarm wouldn't ring for another 20 minutes, but sleep had abandoned him hours ago. It always did before his monthly performance reviews with Victoria. "Daddy?" A small voice called from the doorway. Emma stood there clutching her worn stuffed rabbit, wild curls framing her sleepy face. "Is today pancake day?" James smiled despite the knot in his stomach. "Every Friday is pancake day, pumpkin." "And today is Friday," she stated with the absolute certainty only a 5-year-old could muster. "That it is." He swung his legs over the side of the bed. "Let's get cooking." The morning routine was a carefully choreographed dance they'd perfected since Melissa's death 2 years ago. Pancakes shaped like animals, today's was a lopsided turtle, Emma's favorite purple dress, hair brushed and secured with the butterfly clips her mother had bought before she got sick. James packed Emma's lunch while she chattered about her friend Zoe's birthday party tomorrow. "And Ms. Patel says I can bring Hoppy for show and tell today," Emma said, squeezing her rabbit tight. "That's great, sweetie." James checked his watch. "We need to leave in 5 minutes, okay? Go brush your teeth." As Emma scampered off, James caught his reflection in the hallway mirror. The dark circles under his eyes had become permanent fixtures, souvenirs from nights spent catching up on work after Emma went to bed. His marketing job at Horizon Innovations had been a godsend when Melissa got sick, good health insurance, decent pay, and most importantly, an on-site daycare facility. It had been perfect. Until Victoria Chen took over the department 6 months ago. The new marketing director was brilliant, driven, and utterly merciless. She'd swept in like a hurricane, restructuring teams, demanding longer hours, and implementing rigorous performance metrics that had everyone scrambling. James had watched colleague after colleague either burn out or get cut. His phone buzzed with a text message, "Meeting moved to 9:30. Bring the Q3 projections we discussed. VC." James swore under his breath. The daycare didn't open until 8:30, which would give him exactly 1 hour to finalize the projections he'd stayed up until 2 a.m. working on. "Ready, Daddy," Emma announced, toothpaste foam still clinging to the corner of her smile. "Let's try that again, pumpkin," he laughed, guiding her back to the bathroom. Victoria Chen arrived at her office at precisely 7:15 a.m., as she did every morning. The marketing floor was empty and quiet, exactly how she preferred it. 3 hours of uninterrupted work before the chaos of meetings began. She set her coffee on the desk and opened her laptop, scanning through the overnight emails from the Asia-Pacific team. Victoria had built her career on efficiency and results, climbing from entry-level copywriter to marketing director in just 8 years. At 34, she was the youngest department head in Horizon's history. And she intended to keep rising. Her gaze drifted to the family photo on her desk, the only personal item in her meticulously organized office. Her parents stood proudly beside her at her MBA graduation, her father's arm around her shoulders. The familiar pang of grief hit her as it always did. 3 months after that photo was taken, her father had suffered a massive stroke. The medical bills had nearly bankrupted her family. Victoria shook off the memory and pulled up James Sullivan's file. His performance had been slipping, deadlines missed, presentations lacking the polish she expected. Yet his previous reviews showed a stellar employee. Creative, dedicated, well-liked by clients. She frowned at his attendance record. Always exactly on time in the morning, always rushing out at 5:30 p.m. sharp. While others stayed late to impress her, Sullivan seemed determined to do the bare minimum. Victoria had no patience for employees who weren't fully committed. Horizon needed people willing to sacrifice for success. She certainly had. The fact that Sullivan was charming and had those irritatingly kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled was irrelevant. Today's review would be his final warning. "Daddy, I don't want to go to daycare today," Emma whispered as they walked through Horizon's lobby. James knelt down. "What's wrong, Pumpkin? I thought you loved playing with Zoe and Tyler." "Ms. Patel said we're doing finger painting, but..." Emma's lower lip trembled. "What if I do it wrong?" "Hey," James said gently, "there's no wrong way to finger paint. That's the best part. But what if the other kids laugh at my painting?" James recognized the fear in her eyes, the same insecurity that had been growing since Melissa died. "You know what? I bet your painting will be the most beautiful one in the class. And even if someone doesn't like it, that's okay. Art is special because everyone sees it differently." Emma considered this, then nodded solemnly. "Like how you always say my turtle pancakes look perfect even when they look like squished frogs?" James laughed. "Exactly like that." After dropping Emma off, James rushed to his desk, immediately diving into the projections. He'd barely started when his phone rang. "Sullivan," Victoria's crisp voice came through. "My office. Now." James grabbed his laptop and hurried to her corner office, passing sympathetic glances from colleagues who'd endured similar summons. Victoria didn't look up when he entered, her focus on her computer screen. "Close the door." James sat across from her, waiting as she finished typing. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, she looked up. "The Henderson campaign numbers. They're concerning. I know they're below target, but..." 15% below target, she corrected. "That's not concerning, that's alarming. We launched during their industry's slowest season. If you look at the engagement metrics." "I have. They're mediocre at best." Victoria leaned forward. "James, when I took over this department, I inherited a team that was comfortable with mediocrity. I'm not." The familiar frustration bubbled up in James's chest. "With all due respect, the team was performing well before you arrived. We had different priorities." "Yes, like leaving at 5:30 every day regardless of project status." Her eyes narrowed. "This isn't a 9 to 5 job, Sullivan. Marketing doesn't clock out. Some of us have responsibilities outside of work," James said, his voice tight. "We all have responsibilities. The difference is commitment." Victoria slid a folder across the desk. "I've outlined the areas where you're underperforming. You have 30 days to show significant improvement, or we'll need to discuss your future at Horizon." James stared at the folder, heat rising in his face. "Is that all?" "For now. Don't forget our 9:30 meeting." She returned to her computer, dismissing him. As James walked back to his desk, his phone buzzed with a text from the daycare. "Emma having difficult morning. Asking for you. Can you come down?" He closed his eyes, torn between his daughter's needs and the meeting that could determine his job security. After a moment's hesitation, he texted back, "On my way." Victoria watched through her office window as James hurried toward the elevators. Another early departure. She shook her head and returned to her report, but found herself unable to focus. Sullivan was talented, she couldn't deny that. His creative concepts were consistently strong, and clients responded well to him. If he would just commit fully to the job, he could be an asset to her department. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Victoria Chen," she answered. "Ms. Chen, this is Dr. Patel from Bright Horizons Daycare. I'm calling about one of your employees, James Sullivan." Victoria frowned. Is there a problem? Not exactly. Emma, Mr. Sullivan's daughter, has been having some difficulty adjusting lately. We're hosting a parent participation day next week, and I wanted to make sure Mr. Sullivan would be able to attend. It would mean a great deal to Emma. I don't manage Mr. Sullivan's personal schedule, Dr. Patel. Of course not, the woman replied smoothly. But as department head, you approve time off requests. Emma lost her mother 2 years ago, and these transitions can be particularly challenging for children who've experienced loss. Victoria felt a cold shock run through her. Sullivan was a widower? With a young child? She'd had no idea. I see, she said carefully. When is this event? Next Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll make sure his schedule is clear, Victoria said, surprising herself. After hanging up, Victoria pulled up James's personnel file again, this time reading beyond the performance metrics. His emergency contact was listed as Sarah Sullivan, sister. His wife wasn't mentioned anywhere. Victoria leaned back in her chair, a strange feeling settling in her chest. She'd been pushing him relentlessly, scheduling late meetings, criticizing his strict adherence to regular hours, all while he was raising a child alone. For the first time in her career, Victoria Chen felt something she rarely experienced, doubt. The 9:30 meeting was a disaster. James had managed to calm Emma down, but arrived 10 minutes late, disheveled and unprepared. Victoria's cold stare followed him throughout the presentation, and when he fumbled explaining the projections, she smoothly took over, effectively undermining him in front of the entire team. By the time the meeting ended, James was seething. He cornered Victoria as others filed out. You could have given me a chance to recover, he said quietly. You shouldn't have needed to recover. You should have been prepared. Victoria gathered her materials. My office. 5 minutes. James took a deep breath, counting to 10 as he followed her. He couldn't afford to lose this job, not with Emma's needs, not with the medical bills still looming from Melissa's treatment. Victoria was already seated when he entered, her expression unreadable. Close the door. James braced himself for another dressing down, but Victoria surprised him. Dr. Patel called me this morning, she said. James blinked. From the daycare? Is Emma okay? She's fine. She mentioned a parent participation day next Thursday. Victoria studied him. You never mentioned you were a single parent. It wasn't relevant to my job performance, James said stiffly. I disagree. It's extremely relevant. Victoria leaned forward. How old is your daughter? 5. And her mother? James swallowed hard. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. Victoria was silent for a moment. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, James said automatically, the words he'd heard hundreds of times washing over him without effect. The parent participation day, you should attend, Victoria said. I'll reschedule the client meeting. James stared at her, confused by this sudden shift. Thank you. That said, Victoria continued, her tone hardening again, your performance today was unacceptable. I need the revised Henderson proposal by Monday morning. And just like that, the moment of humanity vanished. James nodded tightly and left, wondering if he'd imagined the brief softening in Victoria's eyes. The weekend passed in a blur of work and Emma time. James took her to Zoe's birthday party on Saturday, watching her play with the other children while he finalized the Henderson proposal on his phone. Sunday was spent at the park, Emma collecting leaves for a school project while James answered emails between pushes on the swing. By Monday morning, he was exhausted but satisfied with the proposal. He dropped Emma at daycare and headed straight to Victoria's office to deliver it before their morning meeting. Her door was open, but she wasn't alone. A tall, distinguished man in an expensive suit sat across from her, their heads bent together over a document. Can't afford another quarter like the last one, the man was saying. The board is watching your department closely, Victoria. I understand, Richard. We'll deliver. You'd better. Your promotion depends on it. James cleared his throat, and both looked up. Sullivan, Victoria said, her professional mask sliding seamlessly into place. This is Richard Hargrove, our CEO. Sir, James nodded, stepping forward to shake the man's hand. Sullivan, you're on the Henderson account, correct? Hargrove asked. Yes, sir. I actually have the revised proposal here. James handed the folder to Victoria. Hargrove stood. Good. Victoria tells me you're one of our most creative strategists. We're counting on that creativity to turn Henderson around. He clapped James on the shoulder. No pressure. After Hargrove left, Victoria flipped through the proposal, her expression giving nothing away. This is thorough, she finally said. Coming from Victoria, it was practically effusive praise. Thank you. The social media strategy is particularly strong. She closed the folder. I'll review it in detail and give you my notes this afternoon. James nodded, turning to leave. Sullivan, Victoria called after him. Good work. The unexpected compliment left him momentarily speechless. Thank you, he managed before escaping to his desk, wondering what game Victoria was playing now. The next few days brought a subtle shift in their dynamic. Victoria's criticism remained sharp, but she began acknowledging his strengths as well. When he presented the revised Henderson strategy to the client, she actually backed his more innovative approaches instead of undermining him. By Thursday morning, Parent Participation Day, James found himself almost looking forward to work for the first time in months. Emma was bouncing with excitement as they rode the elevator up to the daycare floor. And I'm going to show you the reading corner, and the science table, and my cubby where I keep Hoppy during nap time. James smiled, his heart full. I can't wait to see it all, Pumpkin. The daycare was transformed when they arrived, with activity stations set up around the room and parents already engaged with their children. Dr. Patel greeted them warmly. Emma has been talking about this all week, she said. She's very excited to show you her artwork. Emma tugged him toward a display of paintings. Look, Daddy. That one's mine. James knelt beside her, admiring the colorful swirls and handprints that somehow formed a recognizable butterfly. It's beautiful, Em. I love the colors you chose. Ms. Patel says I have imagination, Emma said proudly. Imagination, James corrected gently. And she's right. They moved from station to station, Emma introducing him to her friends and showing off her favorite toys. James lost track of time, completely absorbed in his daughter's world. Mr. Sullivan. He looked up to find Victoria standing nearby, looking oddly out of place among the finger paintings and building blocks. Ms. Chen, he said, surprised. What are you doing here? I wanted to see how the event was going. Her eyes shifted to Emma, who was watching her curiously. You must be Emma. I'm Ms. Chen. I work with your dad. Emma regarded her solemnly. Are you Daddy's boss? Victoria's lips twitched. I am. Daddy says you're very smart but very scary. James felt his face heat. Emma. Victoria actually smiled, a real smile that transformed her face. Does he now? Well, sometimes bosses need to be a little scary. Emma considered this. My teacher Ms. Patel is never scary. She says you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. That's very wise, Victoria said, her eyes meeting James's with unexpected amusement. Perhaps I should try that approach. Dr. Patel approached them. Emma, we're about to start the group activity. Would you like to join the circle? As Emma ran off, James turned to Victoria. I'm sorry about that. Kids, you know. No need to apologize. She's delightful. Victoria watched Emma join the other children. She has your eyes. The personal observation caught James off guard. Thank you. She has her mother's spirit, though. Fearless. Victoria nodded, a shadow crossing her face. I should get back to the office. The Henderson client called this morning. They loved your proposal. We're moving forward with it. That's great news, James said, genuinely pleased. Yes, well, good work. Victoria hesitated, then added, enjoy your time with Emma. The quarterly reports can wait until tomorrow. James watched her leave, puzzled by this new, almost human version of his.